And a lot of us, I think, are entrepreneurial in our own endeavors, whether it be on our team or in our family or maybe in your personal lives or hobbies. So I think the term entrepreneurship is very universal to a lot of different industries and practices and trades. And I think twofold, what's going to be nice is that we can interview my father on the subject of entrepreneurship, but we can also interview him about some of his past experience so that you guys can get to know him a little bit more, because I think there are some people on the call that just maybe don't know the story of, who he is and kind of where he came from in his professional past. So with that being said, just a quick bio. My father is originally from Pennsylvania. He has 4 kids. He grew up in a large family. He has 7 brothers and sisters, so he's one of 8. And his father is also an entrepreneur. He was a person that really started a business out of the back of his car, kind of cliche, but definitely happened. He worked in the office supplies and office furniture business. This is his father, is also named Claude, for well over, I would say, 40 years, and established a very, very highly successful company. And he had 6 of his children working for him, and one of which was my father. And my father was the president of the company for a while. He didn't start out as the president, and I'll let him kind of share that. And then, after that business was sold, he moved to Bethesda, Maryland for a little while, worked in a corporate company, left on a severance package, and then about 5 or 6 months later, with his 13, 14-year-old son, moved down to Florida and purchased a landscape company, then purchased a pool construction company, and then purchased a pool cleaning and pool repair company, kind of within about 2 or 3 years, and then grew it into what you guys are experiencing today. So that's him professionally. I guess more of his resume virtues. He's a wonderful father. He's a caring man. He went to Lehigh University as a studied business. He definitely is a man of integrity, and he loves his family and the people that he works with, and certainly does that in some of his service. So, Dad, welcome to the interview, and we're very happy to have you. Based on what I said, maybe you can give us a little bit more history on your beginnings as a professional and working with your father. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, in 1978, graduated from college, and I didn't really want to work for him. Was interviewing with an elevator company, and 3 or 4 people that were set up, outside of the senior interviews area. And he said, "You gotta try my business." They had 20 employees total. Sales were $750,000, maybe $1 million, and he was making a living from that. And I tried it, and I went in outside sales, and it wasn't motivational to me. I was 21 years old, and I wasn't working so hard as he wanted me to work. My father was a very hard worker, and he said, "I want you to come inside in the office," and that's where I found my calling, where people were depending on me to be there before them and stay after them and set up systems. And we grew to 35 million in sales 36 years later. Let's see, 1978, 36 years later. And I'm sorry, I was with my father 18 years. And we sold in 96. My father was 36 years in business, and I was 18 with him. And I set up purchasing systems, and we were picking office supplies from shelves and selling office furniture. We were selling used office furniture, and we grew those. There's 3 divisions really: office furniture, office supplies, and used office furniture. We had offices in Pittsburgh, down in Delaware. We sold it to a public company in 96. And my father cried at the settlement table. He wanted to sell it to the kids for $2, $3, $4 million, and he sold it for $8 million plus all the bank debt. And he split that amongst the kids. And I was very motivated by working as part of the team. People were counting on me. And we had 25 salespeople, and I was really the sales manager. And president. And I enjoyed that. An entrepreneur, going back to that, I had so much time to prepare for this. Claude texted me at 10 o'clock last night. Did you do this? As I'm falling asleep, and I said, sure. But an entrepreneur is a person, is a noun. Entrepreneurship is risk taking. It's setting up a business for the chance to make profit while assuming risk. But for me and for my father, my son and I got in a 4-year-old Explorer with a trailer. He was in 8th grade, and we drove down to do due diligence on a $600,000 business. That was their sale, 680. And I didn't own it. And I figured I would take a job as a waiter if we didn't go through. So you go into due diligence and you bring somebody with you, an accountant, and you go through the books, deciding whether you want to take the risk or not. The concept of a leader, you say, first of all, how can you all be leaders? No, there's only one leader here. No, there's a bunch of leaders here. You all are leaders. You all are entrepreneurial in the different things that you're doing as you are leaders. But the risk is something that you, during due diligence, you investigate so hard, you try and eliminate as much of the risk as you can. And when the person auditing business with me says, after 2 days of looking at their books, if you don't buy it, I'm going to, I put my pen down and said, we've arrived. So we bought that business, took some risk. You do without for a while you pay other people. You have to certainly have some money. And I had a partner, I had a 50-50 partner in that business. And then, of course, went back and bought a small pool business, bought another pool business, taking risks. So Claude entered at Palmer Trinity, came down, finished 8th grade in DC, came down in the trailer with me as an 8th grader, started 9th grade here in Miami, and the rest is entrepreneurial history. I still look at it as a small business. I did a great interview last night on a young person who wants to be part of the business, and he's young, and there's just no reason why this business can't be 24 million, 3-4 years from now. No, we're set up now with the branding and the building and the market. The competitors fear what we're doing. It would take a viable competitor 10 years, and they'd have to go through trials and tribulations to even approach, the diversity and the market share and the penetration that we have in all these areas. So I'd rather, maybe if that's enough of an intro.
Yeah, that's good. I have a bunch of good softball questions for you. So that was amazing to hear that. Thank you for sharing. And I think you touched on one of the ones I wanted to kind of dig more into. You talked about risk, you talked about adversity, you talked about calling. But I think to start off, I'm interested, and also for the people on the call, when you said you found your calling and you kind of took a little bit of, going through the woods to find that, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think maybe some people on the call know they found their calling, and some people are still trying to refine themselves to try to take advantage of their calling. Can you tell us more about your calling?
Well, for me, it was when I talk to young people who are across the country or in Philadelphia or wherever, I talk about geography and where you want to be. And I wanted to be here in the sunshine and have summer all year round. I used to cut my grandmother's grass. My 10-year-old, my mother would send me over there. She had a push mower, and I would take the scissors and cut through the edging. And I enjoyed the landscaping. And pools are beautiful. I see the satisfaction out of Blake and Jeremy and Josh, Sergio, when they put water in a pool, and they're like, "Wow, this is a 6-month effort, sometimes 3-year effort." And the satisfaction of seeing such a beautiful thing. But if we were building pools in, Tennessee, it's some remote, you can't find people that want to spend money on their landscaping, and they want to clean the pool themselves. And here, nobody, there's so much opportunity for young people. So it happened to be a match between where I wanted to live and the abundance of targets that would appreciate what we do. So I don't think any of you can make 4 calls and get, 4 rejections on what you're offering. It's just a numbers game, and I just think it's plentiful target, and this would be the calling of creating paradise in a target-rich environment in a geography where I used to want to live.
We talk a lot about mission at Reef Tropical. I'm curious, at CB Kershner's, did you guys have a mission, or what were some of the goals and the missions of that company when you were leading it?
Well, my father really just worked hard, and he had core values that shone through. He never met a stranger. He was a heck of a salesman, and just an employee who would just lie. It's just not acceptable, and we just moved on. And well, I don't think we had really had a core value other than service. The next day delivery on stuff. Desktop delivery, it was very trend-setting stuff that people do today. All the time. We were unique in offering, and people appreciated it. Well, that's the answer.
Yeah, that's good. So now, as a business owner, you went from really being an employee with your father, and then you transitioned to a business owner. You can think about this, but what do you consider the biggest failures, or what would you do differently today? There he is.
What would I do
if you could start
today?
over again, what would you do differently?
With my father or with Reef Tropical? I'll start over in
Either.
1978 or
whatever one you want to answer.
I probably wouldn't have partied so much in college. I probably would have paid more attention in college. I went as a math major and ended up in business because I like the cold beer and other vibrations. Lost maybe 4 or 5 roommates because I used to go to the library and leave the fraternity, and they just couldn't resist because someone kept coming in the room. Let's go downstairs. So I got decent grades and got out of there, but I would have done more there. But I don't think anything else there. Here, I always felt that a partner was someone who brought things to the table that I couldn't. And I've got a bunch of partners here on the call now, and I had Russell Post as a partner. I ended up buying him out, and it was a very painful process because he was a mentor and advisor to me, and it ended well, but the process was very painful. I don't think I probably would have tried to do that differently to avoid the pain, but that pain is part of the growth. I had up to 10 years ago, somebody else owned half this company, and now my son and I own the whole thing, and we can really control it. But I'd do differently. Probably try to get in this building earlier, or something up here. But this building just, I'm still doing the partner thing with. This building was a stretch. Who could buy a $2 million building? We were looking for something for $500,000 or $750,000, and I was able to find Kevin to do that. I'm gonna have dinner with him tonight, and he was interested in an investment and partnering with a pool company. So
that's good. Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, we've kind of seen how you transition from employee to business owner and some of those key moves. and you mentioned partners and finding the right partners. But I'm curious, what do you look for in an employee, somebody that's going to work for you? What are the key attributes that you desire most of them?
Well, I struggle with that, and I try to surround myself with people who are better at that. And at CB Kershner, she was a director of purchasing there. She was really good in interviews. She's like, no, yes, no. And she was really good at that. So at team interviewing, I look at everyone as, wow, look at this potential. Everybody's got potential. But quickly after 90 days, I'm like, what I look for in the first 90 days, it would be ambition, creativity, resilience, problem solving, asking questions and discernment. Of course, the core values is, there. You can't really tell core values. You can listen to someone, but you can tell in the first 90 days how they conduct themselves. So, hard work, integrity, resilience. Oh, I lost you there.
Claude, you
Sorry,
were muted.
I got it.
Oh, gotcha.
Have you ever turned down a client or a customer? And if so, why?
Mean to our staff. It's hard in this environment where if you're a property manager and you only need 30 accounts and there's 1,000 of them out there, it's easy to tell someone you're booked, you're full, you're this, you're that. Turn down a client. I hate to name names, but Terry Whitaker is a classic example. God bless us. I mean, you lose money at someone, but in pool construction, they'll help anyone who comes in, and they keep coming at you asking for help. No, we just really don't turn down anyone, and they're just mean to the pool cleaner. I'm sorry, we just can't help you. I mean, that's more the rarity. Like, just mean to the people who are. Are you still with me?
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Another question. Do you want to finish answering that one, or are you ready for the next one?
Not ready.
What do you attribute? I would say that you would be a successful entrepreneur, considering you still have a business that's profitable and staff members that are serving. What do you attribute from your personal life your success to? What are some of the things you've done consistently that you say, wow, that's probably why I am where I am?
My father used to say, I'm a very lucky guy. The harder I work, the luckier I get. I would add that the integrity part in there, and I think my parents gave all the kids the resilience. I mean, the resilience would be the one word that I would say that my parents gave us. That we're being tested now, and everybody on this call, look at the resilience. Look at what you've all gone through already, and look at this move to anarchy and socialism that's around us, and what we're going to go through in the next, 6 months, 6 weeks, 3 years. The taxation burden, the adjustment that we're going to have to make. In this world, resilience would be the one thing that I would wish on you to I just feel like getting up this morning. You just take that first step and the second step, and then, geez, you could have the best business day. Just, here, you're in this beautiful geography with all these customers out there. Show up to work, and God will bless you with that call to get you pumped up and that opportunity. Keep plugging. So that, I would say resilience would be the one thing that, God's plan on resilience. The harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's good. So 2 more questions, and then I'll kind of open it up for some other people to ask questions. I think one that definitely was a burden for me prior to starting working for you, and sometimes it even is today. But for all of us on this call, we don't own the business. So when we come to work and we face the challenges that are very apparent, and we have to endure. There's frustration involved there. How can you encourage us from when you were working under your father and you had to face those similar challenges? What were some of the things that you did, and how did you continue getting through those difficult conversations and those testing opportunities with clients, or that kind of stuff, when you weren't the business owner?
I want to go back a little bit to leadership and, use Mike as an example or Linda as an example. When you look at that meeting and see those 6 mechanics that are counting on you, that is owning a business. That is leadership. That is entrepreneurialism. They're counting on you because you're going to have to lay them off if you don't have that resilience and pick up that phone and make that phone call and ask for the business, because they're not going to have work. And trying to get the extra, $200 so you can pay them instead of 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and get them up, pay their 401k, pay their health care, because you're asking for extra money, because you're asking for the order. I would look underneath you to the people that you're leading for the motivation. Each of you have people that you're leading, and Ashley has these pool cleaners come in, and you just want to tell that customer exactly what you like to tell them, but you can't, because these guys need that revenue by cleaner. They need that account, or you're going to have to, they're going to be working 4.5 days, or they can't afford the raise. So I want to pay people above an average wage and give them benefits and move them along. They all should have the opportunity to be paid like Tara, like the best pool cleaner. If they can run their route and their customers can love them, and they could take their pool cleaner from 200 to 260 because the customer loves them.
That's an amazing answer. And I think that we can all relate to that. And I do believe that that's what a lot of us do. And it's so nice to hear you say that, Dad. Thank you. All right, last question. If you were to give advice for somebody that is an aspiring entrepreneur that's just starting out, that is looking to start a business or is thinking about doing something within their community, whether it just be organizing an event or whatever it is, what advice would you give them for someone starting out and is about to step into the whirlwind, if you would? And maybe touch a little bit about the entrepreneur roller coaster in that question.
You have to have the hard work and the resilience, some of the things that we talked about earlier, and be in a geography where it's a target-rich environment. I mean, if you're bobbing for apples and there's 2 apples in the barrel as opposed to full, so those things are lining up. You're actually taking risk out of it, studying the market. You got to save some money. You got to, or then have someone to finance you. I was blessed with a partner that helped me with half the money, and I'd saved some money and got some money from the sale of the business. So, and you put that at risk. Find something that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, like that green grass and the blue pool in this instance. Look at Bradley, passionate about what he's doing. But it takes a certain, you could be entrepreneurial within your own division. An entrepreneur will have 5 ideas and 4 of them will suck and 1 of them will hit. And we're trying some things with CES and some new things. Try something and fail. Just if you put it out there, and while you were out, is the old expression. That's the phone messages stack up because people are interested. If nobody's interested and you're fighting an uphill battle, you can't fight what they're not eating what you're feeding them. So that's an answer.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dad. That was awesome and insightful. And I think we all kind of got a glimpse into more about your story and your history and some of your background. So thank you. And I just wanted to open it up for questions before we say goodbye and get into some of the content of our traction meeting today. But please, now's your opportunity. Ask him whatever you want. Don't pretend like he's not, Reef Tropical owner, pretend like he's a stranger and you're just curious.
No softballs.
So I'm curious, Claude. I know that you said that you wish you would have bought the building sooner that we have in Florida City, but do you have any other regrets professionally when it comes to like Reef Tropical or anything?
You said you wish I had done the building sooner, and then I didn't understand.
I was wondering what's your biggest regret professionally when it comes to like Reef Tropical, something that you wish you would have done sooner or would have wished that you never did to begin with?
I read that commercially that's the way to go on some landscape maintenance. But there's no regrets in this industry. There's no somebody I envy people in the property management business a little bit because they can pick and choose, and I just think that that's a great field. I just, in another life, I would have loved to try that because they just need help so bad. A small part of our history, Reef Tropical, there was half of the island at Ocean Reef needed a sewer line installed, and they couldn't figure out how to hire a plumber. They had to hire a plumber, they had to hire a trencher, they had to abandon their septic tank. There's 4 or 5 things that they had to do, different trades. And we put out a figure. We were encouraged by Orca to help them. So we did a project management owner rep kind of thing, and did 150 sewer connections. And we charged them a fee. And I had 2 women running that company, and that was, to me, that was fun and exciting. But at the end of the day, I had a partner in that too. At the end of the day, he made money and we didn't. We were broke even. But we helped a lot of people, older people that couldn't figure out how to do that. And I kind of like that. So I guess property management is the only envy I have. But no, I'm blessed to have chosen that. And Claude asked that what's different from owning. When I worked for my father, I acted like an owner, and I see a bunch of people here in the call that act like an owner. I was with Mike, and Mike is looking at his pen saying, "How much was that?" And are they walking out the door? And he's acting like that. I acted like that with my father, and I think my son acts like that. And we got to constantly question the greater good. The team. How does the team win? And then eventually you win. So recognized for that, I hope.
Great. Claude, I have a question. So looking back 20 years ago to today, was your vision of what you envisioned it would be 20 years from then, today, where we're at now? Or do you still see, we have some work to do, obviously, but what was your picture back then of today? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't think that I think the vision is just more year to year, more serving our customers, and there's the close rate in this area. This is what's needed. This is where we're busy. Let's pour into that. To be able to offer pool and landscape and everything outdoors. My vision was really shorter, just to get from one year to the next with some growth and keeping your eye on the ball. I don't think it was that. I can clearly see the vision of world-class pool construction and being the best customer for service and growing that. But landscape there's so many people, in such a low cost of entry, but as a complimentary service, we have such a competitive advantage with all these pools that we do and our branding and our recognition. Again, it's just showing up, and someone's going to bite at that. And if you're Joe in a pickup truck, you'd say, "God, look at the opportunity Reef Tropical has." So there's opportunity there. So vision, I didn't think I set out 20 years ago to be. I remember meeting Brian Van Bauer and saying, wow, look at what this guy's doing. I took David to that meeting. David said, that was the best meeting I've ever had, because we talked about centerpiece of your outdoor entertainment area. And just following other visionaries and getting what they were saying. And, you know, look at Al Mendoza. Look at that guy. How does the world replace those people? And I pale in comparison to those guys. And just like, we're following them. And these guys are 65 years old. You know, they're still working somewhat, but how does the world, you know, replace them with Andy, with Johnny DeLeppo, with who's backing up Al? You know, I know who's backing up me, this team, and my son, with what we're doing. We're distribution, construction, execution of plans. Take that to the next level. Gosh, if I could buy Andy, you know, if I had the money to take them out and partner with them and to put John Waller and him together. Can you imagine engineering in-house? Just thinking, gosh, we could get an engineer like Ian to work for us, with us, and do $800 and advertise engineering. You're going to put a concrete pad in your backyard, need a permit in engineering. We do it. You know, just do engineering in-house. That would be the irrigation. I can't find an irrigation guy, you know, to have a license to do irrigation. Still entrepreneurial thoughts there. But yeah, I got to find, I'm not going to go sit and take my irrigation test or pass my engineering. You got to have an engineer who's willing to come in and work for 40,000 to make 50, to build a business, to be a partner with you, to run a division. You know, pavers, we talk about it, but you got to find that person with ambition, with the skill, you know, like some of you have in your area, in their area of irrigation. It's an art, it's a passion. I love it. I want to get up, I want to work hard, I want to make that sales call. I want to partner with somebody who's got a facility like we have and got an installed base like we have. So there's still other entrepreneurial thoughts.
Thank you.
Somebody give me a tougher question. Thanks, Mike.
Claude, I've always known you to be like super hardworking. You were always the first person in and the last person out. How did you manage family life?
I'd say I sneak in late and go home early. And I loved what Mike said. It was just like looking at his waking hours and trying to do 50% of it with his family. You know,
shouldn't I answer that question? Just kidding.
Yeah, I was just doing that. We're just thinking alike there. Claude, how many baseball games and football games did I miss?
I'll let you answer it first, and then I'll jump in.
Well, Claude's senior year in gunnery, he's in Connecticut, and I made 5 of his 8 football games. So, and that's in Connecticut. So taking the time, yeah, I had my phone with me. I'll never forget Mike Murphy, Tom Murphy is on his cell phone at Coastal Construction watching his son, Aaron Murphy, who was the youngest congressman at Palmer Trinity. And he's at bat. And in baseball, it's just boring. You sit around for, 2 hours while you wait for 30 seconds of excitement. And I'm elbowing the owner of the 70-year-old owner of Coastal Construction now saying, your son's at bat. So yes, I had the phone with me and try to pay attention to watch my son, fading back for the ball. But, I think back to the question, you got to be there for that. And you got to, stay home for that morning, go to the parent teacher conference, but you can't go to all of them. Got to say no. Your kid's got to know daddy wants to be there, but I got to go to work. And your kid will look you in the eye at age 6 or 16 and say they understand. But you try to get to a bunch of them. Those are special moments. And get home, and can we have dinner Thursday and get home? So you select, when it's critical. Hey, gotta be here. My son told me last week, I don't know if you're coming down, but could use your face in the place. So yeah, just being here is important.
It's good. We got time for one more question.
Come on, Ashley.
Well, I was curious and I didn't know how to bring it into or how to word it. So I'm just going to ask, what do you feel sets you apart, Claude? Because you've come through a long walk of life between, entrepreneurship to where you are today. And it's, I'm sure, an up and down story, a roller coaster. I'm just really curious, and any legacy or anything that we're going to, steward for you, there's obviously something that sets us apart from the competition. And what do you think it is?
I'd say that love and caring, that fault I talked about in interviewing, seeing potential in all people, is different. When someone walks away, geez, when I'm going down Cardston Road and I see a squirrel dead in the road, I'm like, oh man, that hurt just watching that. Caring, but then giving people the opportunity, I think, caring for the customer and caring for, just showing up, offering the opportunity, sets me apart. Resilience, I think that answer was really entwined with so many of these conversations that we had here this morning.
Great.
Thank you for the question.
Can I ask one more question? I know that was supposed to be the last one. This is a simple one. I was just wondering, again, because if somebody would have ever tell me that you're getting ready to retire, I would have lost that bet completely. What is the next transition for you? Like, how is the transitioning to retiring going for you? Are you going to be starting something different? What's the next chapter coming up for you?
Well, driving around Malvern, and I think about business and doing something entrepreneurial. And I just thought, oh, wait a minute, what are you doing? Oh, that's right, you're 64. So everyone, you just think like you're 28 or you're 35. I just think it's particularly, probably 60% of my waking time is with the construction team. And I probably don't see myself ever not helping them and working with them and working remotely. And pressing them, how often do you want me there? Can you do this on your own? Letting them do it. I mean, Josh and Jeremy have heard me so many times saying, I'm going to get hit by a bus. So getting them ready. When they get proposals out, they make mistakes, they do their thing. So it's maybe doing it less and less and less. And, I want to go back to some training and fitness a little bit, and some charity work. And giving money away and helping other people is something I really enjoy. So, but I just love this intake of customer who wants a beautiful piece of art in the backyard. I enjoy that, and helping. My number one goal is making sure that my son is successful in this business and his team. So I guess it's that. That's what's next for me. I don't really mind this travel. I don't. It's not. The only thing that's tough is leaving my family on Sunday night and packing a bag and getting up and getting in the Uber and leaving. But once I go on that march, it's just like putting the one step foot from the other. And then, geez, I had a great time last night. I was over at the Capri and I got a chicken parmesan. I'm waiting for Ken to answer the text because I'm trying to drop a chicken parm off to him. And I love that, dropping a chicken parm to him. And I had a great interview that Motto set up last night. I enjoyed that, talking to that young person. So I'm still stimulated by that as much as I can help Motto and help Ken and help you guys, particularly help my son be successful.
It's too unique of an opportunity to not ask a few more questions. So if Linda or Brittany, if you have a question, just go ahead and ask before we say goodbye.
I have a question for you if they don't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess my only question is, when you were transitioning from working for your father into, really working for yourself, were you afraid? And if so, what was your biggest fear in that moment?
Good question.
I never felt like I was working for my father. My father would we used to go to Florida for 3 months and fly back every 3 weeks, and I really felt I was working for myself there and the family business. And so when I was down here, what was I afraid of? I mean, you're afraid of going bankrupt. You're afraid of running out of money. You're afraid of your partner saying, "That's it, I'm out." You know, my partner used to tell me, "This is a monopoly. You shooting apples. This is so easy." You know, this is what Russ would say. I was like, "Shoot, this is not easy." Somebody was just there. There's competitors everywhere. You know, a guy with a pickup truck and I'll do your pool for $90. Their competitors come in. This is not easy. So afraid of failure is just has you showing up, and you know, it's not living in fear because you know that the resilience, stick-to-itiveness, showing up. You've already set yourself up that there's a lot of apples in the barrel. So I have a question for each of you. What are you going to do, entrepreneur, within your division and your team? And don't be afraid to fail in front of me and Claude and others. Come up with 4 ideas. 3 of them are going to suck, and 1 of them is going to change this company dramatically. So try something. Think of something. You know, and we'll be as gracious as we can, funding it, helping you, and trying it. But you'll quickly know whether there's a market out there for it. What, you know, looking at those routes and seeing where you can increase, and making a sales call and making a flyer, and you know, emailing a customer and picking up that phone. No, does anyone pick up the phone and call anybody? And try, ask for the business. Change the lives of people around you and yours.
That's a good question.
Leadership and entrepreneurship.
And a good question by my father to us as well. Linda, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Claude. How did you keep your, I guess, your intentions pure, your heart pure throughout the process and growing, in the sense of there's a lot of hardships in the business, and how do you stay true or not? Just that, to continue to stay focused, mission focused, and stay helping your employees and continue to grow the business. And in the busyness of going home and all the adversities that could arise, how did you stay pure and sane and continue to be of good influence to everybody else?
I, first of all, I'm not pure or made mistakes, and I am a sinner. We're all faulted and broken. So you learn from those mistakes, and you feel that pain, and that employee that you let go, maybe should have given them another chance, or hire the wrong person. But just every day you go to bed and you think about things that you've done and change it differently. Resilience. You know that it's the just cause, and just the way my father, raised us, and just stuck to that game, and he laid that foundation of hard work and integrity and resilience, and set yourself up. That entrepreneurs, yes, they're risk takers. Back to the theme of the question, within your division, the risk takers, but they really grind it down. And I don't have all the answers. What do I know about pools and landscaping? I surround myself with people, ask the questions, know when you're challenging them, ask, and then you take the risk out of it, not all of it, but most of it, by being in the right position in market. So I wouldn't say I don't feel pure, but working at that with integrity as best you can. Being able to face the music, come out in the light, be on this call with no freaking prep time, and live in a transparent life.
Yeah.
Make mistakes and stay at it.
Well, it's an honor, Claude Kershner III, to hear you talk this morning and to share some of that insight, and then also to work for someone like you and to serve alongside of you. It's truly special. And I think I speak on behalf of all of us. Thank you for the opportunity, not only to learn and grow professionally, but to be empowered to be creative, like you said, and to take risks and to lead other people, it's truly a blessing. And we really appreciate it. And just to address how was my father in his home life, it's not easy. I saw my father struggle with balancing work and home life for sure, but he certainly, as my daughter's screaming my name right now, he certainly, hold on one second. What's up, Harper? What? Oh, sorry. My father did.
In times like this, I'm going to use this rainy day. There's times when there are so many orders out there. How you conduct yourself during that time to capture as many of them as you can. In times when there's no order, hey, go home today. Just go home. It's raining. Or a phone call today, an order today. In the times that like this, what do you do in the tough times and the abundance times to capture as much as you can? You can distinguish yourself just there.
Yeah, one of the things I heard last night is there's something, a sluggard or a person who's lazy. What happens in those cases, the people that can work but that aren't willing to, that when it's a harvest season, they will not reap. They won't be able to capture some of the things that they've done in the past. And I think that what you just said really applies to that. But yeah, he was a great father. He showed up. He loved my sporting events. I never as a child felt abandoned or neglected by my father in any regard. So he was always there. One of the biggest characteristics he definitely had was, which I don't think he touched on, was always picking up his cell phone. He always calls people back. He always responds to text messages. He always checks his voicemail. And he's always available to a customer, to an employee, whatever it is. If he's not, then he'll call you back. You know, he's available. And I think that those are certain characteristics sometimes people don't exude these days. And I think that's definitely been what has helped us be unique and successful, because at Reef Tropical, yeah, we might mess up with your pool, or we might mess up with your landscape. And I think you guys know when we put together that mission, the VTO, is that we always show up. We always return your call. We always provide you with somebody to talk to. And that's certainly unique. So yeah, so I wrote some stuff down. Save money. Geography and location are really important. Seeing potential in all people was a good one. Creativity, resilience, eliminating as much risk, but being willing to take risk. Producing a high quality service. People who act like owners is really important. Lucky people are the ones that work hard. Do it for the people on your team was another good one. And yeah, I just thank you, Dad, for being a part of this, and thank you for your time this morning. And we'll get back to our agenda.
Can I secret sneak one more in?
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of conversation, all really great. You touched a lot on having resilience, and that it's not always easy, and there's definitely ups and downs, and you have to persevere through them. But I kind of wanted to flip the script on you, and before you left us, if you would share, it's not always down. There are definitely a lot of ups, and if you could highlight for me in that journey, where were some of your biggest celebrations? Because I'm sure that as many times as you had hard conversation, you've had some amazing ones. And I'm just curious to know, how did you refill your cup when things were hard? How did you stay enjoying what you do and honestly being happy? Because, I honestly feel that to be successful, you also have to enjoy coming to work every day. And I know when the going gets tough, sometimes that's hard to refocus on. But just curious, what are the ups like?
Some of the, just working hard and not counting your chips while you're sitting at the table, and then seeing, Juan and Amato put together the QuickBooks to see the performance. Don't spend too much time during the month counting your chips, and just concentrating on the principles that you set up, and then seeing that some of the rewards, we're looking at it and saying, wow, this is working. I having Craig Weir to give me a check for $5,000 for FCA, and having somebody, I used to work on the board of the YMCA, and the YMCA is the largest child care provider in the world. Affordable child care for hardworking single moms. And I could write a $250,000 office furniture order, or $1 million pool. And yeah, you know, Josh and I will high five and pick up the phone and call Jeremy and say we got it, they signed it. But some of those small awards were, you know, where the, you know, Cindy picks up the service with Brittany, a pool we built. That feels great, but those little things are rewarding. Being a customer for the service division, those fill my cup is some of the charity work and, you know, some of the synergies of the company, you know, that competitive advantage fills me up.
It's good. One last thing that
talk about, I've got 4 kids and I have an autistic daughter and a learning disabled daughter. And you just, when you have kids, you raise them to be the best they can, and this is the best that they can. You know, watching my son play sports and, you know, getting his doctorate, you know, those fill me up too. So seeing how high he can rise up fills me up.
Thank you, Claude.
Yeah, thank you. It's unique to capture you in this moment of focus and being able to share with us that there's one thing talking about that I was reading last night, and it's about having a healthy practice of, you know, new beginnings. And, you know, my dad, it's clear that he is getting towards the age of retirement and that he has moved up to Pennsylvania, and his ability to empower and entrust everybody on this call is huge. And I mean, just think about it. We're literally leading conversations about mission, vision, planning, goals without him. So what he's done is, it says, I am continually developing people who can someday replace me with joy, faith, and lack of fear. And I think that's something my father has been really good at. There's other things that obviously, you know, everyone can get better, but we have to accept some of our strengths and weaknesses, you know, as just being human. So Dad, we love you and we thank you and appreciate your time this morning.